patrol has been described as the basis for all police functions, the backbone of any police structure. Preventing crime, protecting life and property, preserving the peace, and detecting and arresting offenders are the broad general terms often used to describe the duties of the beat patrolman. To this list could be added an untold number of miscellaneous services which take up a good part of his tour of duty. All things considered, the beat patrolman has a lot to do. Each task requires special techniques and the application of the knowledge he's acquired through formal training and through his experience on the street. He must adapt his approach to each police problem and get the job done. To the people on the beat, he is the police department, and on his performance, they form their opinions of the police service. He's the front-line troops of police activity. His customers run the gamut of the personality scale. Some are talkative and friendly, some are sarcastic and sullen, some are meek and submissive, while others are just downright mean. The job of the beat patrolman involves a continuous process of education because in addition to what he learns from his recruit training and in-service instruction, every police experience will add to the sum of his knowledge of his job, knowledge that will apply to future problems. His margin of error is small. He's expected to know the laws he enforces and their proper application. He's the man on the beat. When the patrolman reports for duty, he may anticipate a variety of assignments, but for him there's no such thing as a typical day. He knows he can't predict what he will be called upon to do while he patrols his beat. His routine assignments have a way of producing new and challenging problems. His tour of duty will begin quietly enough when he reports at his headquarters and goes to his locker to assemble the tools of his trade. He checks his uniform and equipment and gets ready for the briefing session which usually precedes taking over his beat assignment. By talking with the officer who precedes him on his beat, checking the bulletin board and looking at the latest crime reports, he gathers information which will prepare him for his tour of duty. At the daily briefing session, he gets a final word from his sergeant, and he's ready for beat patrol. The best way to get started, if time permits, is to give the whole beat a once-over lightly inspection, past the shops and stores, along the side streets, through the industrial section, watching for anything new and different, looking for anything that suggests a police problem now or later. If he hasn't already been given an assignment, maybe he'll notify the desk that he'll be out of his car checking a business area. Communication is important to his safety. He keeps the desk informed of his movements. On the day shift, he walks near the curb, where he can be easily seen by those who may need his assistance, and where his obvious presence may discourage some criminal act. In his contact with merchants on his beat, he uses good judgment in maintaining a friendly relationship without becoming involved in prolonged conversations that keep him away from other duties. By maintaining communication with his office and informing them of his status as he keeps on the move, he makes himself available for assignment while covering his beat. A good officer knows his beat and knows where his routine attention is required, but the routine changes and he stays alert for unusual conditions. Traffic enforcement is usually a part of his job. As he makes the stop, he'll check his hot sheet against the offender's license number. He makes a record of it and will watch for anything that alerts his suspicion as he approaches the driver. His manner is businesslike and courteous as he explains the violation and examines the operator's license. He makes it a point to have the operator remove his license from his wallet. He knows that this is the average citizen's only personal contact with law enforcement, and the impression he makes may have a lasting effect. Don't forget to return the license. The beat officer may be assigned to a report of a domestic disturbance. If it's the usual man and wife dispute, he may be just assuming the role of a marriage counselor, but he can't be sure till he gets there. He responds promptly, but uses caution when he arrives at the scene. A second officer is assigned in case of trouble. The casualty rate for policemen is high in this type of routine call. If there seems to be no basis for criminal complaint, the experienced beat patrolman will attempt to settle the difference as best he can, then maneuver a discreet withdrawal from the battleground. Wherever he goes, there's usually someone to warm the policeman's ear. Information about what's going on in the city comes from a variety of sources. The beat officer cultivates good contacts because the knowledge he gains from them may improve his effectiveness. While it's not part of the beat officer's function to clean the streets of rubbish and dead animals, When he finds conditions requiring the attention of other services, he makes sure the proper department is notified. He knows that broken or inoperative street lights may encourage criminal activity. Their location should be promptly reported. Personal injury may result from breaks in the sidewalk. The beat officer notes such conditions for a formal report. As he patrols his beat, the officer keeps in mind crime trends and specific problems to which he should give attention. The activity of an auto thief specializing in a certain type car may suggest taking a post on foot at a location where the criminal may operate. With his sergeant's approval, he checks out of service and begins what may be just a long wait for nothing. On the other hand, he may be at the right place at the right time. Let's wait and see. Certainly a part of the beat officer's effectiveness results from following his hunches or sixth sense about the rightness or wrongness of a situation. But when you come right down to it, in most cases the officer acts because he has good suspicion based upon what his experience has taught him and the interest and energy to follow it through. Sometimes a situation may seem wrong at first glance. While the subject's behavior may seem innocent enough, he may appear out of place and in conflict with his surroundings. A field interrogation may help close a series of residence burglaries. There are times when more intensive effort is required to check out suspicious circumstances or behavior. The experienced beat officer sizes things up and waits for the right moment before moving in. If it looks as though the situation has dangerous potential, he'll alert the desk officer so that additional men may be assigned to the area. The patrol sergeant may be informed by the desk and requested to take over police activity in the field. The sergeant will contact the beat patrolman for first-hand information from the scene. After appraising the beat officer's information, the sergeant will call other officers to the area and assign them to their posts. The sergeant makes a final check with all officers to make sure the cover is in place. When the time is right, the order is given to move in. Every suspicious circumstance doesn't produce a felon, but the beat patrolman would be derelict in his duty if he failed to check it out. Schools, parks, and playgrounds require the beat officer's special attention. Some sex offenders are attracted to areas where young people congregate. Consistent with his other duties, officers should religiously check these locations for persons loitering around public toilets or giving undue attention to children. Construction projects and equipment represent a hazard because they just naturally attract youngsters. It may spoil their fun, but by discouraging trespassing, the beat officer may prevent serious injury. The beat officer urges owners of heavy equipment left on construction sites to guard against tampering by removing key parts or securely locking the machinery when leaving the job. Night beat patrol has its special problems and additional duties. Early evening is a time of extra hazard for motorists. The patrolman keeps alert for violations and takes appropriate action. With the approaching darkness, more people leave the streets for their homes, and the patrolman becomes more keenly aware of sights and sounds. His senses are invaluable aids in the detection of police problems. When checking the security of places of business at night, the beat patrolman walks close to the building fronts, concealing his presence as much as possible. Occasionally, he stops and listens for unusual sounds, breaking glass, pounding, or the sound of burglar tools. By By cupping the light with his hand, the officer reduces the glare of the flashlight beam when he checks the interior of a darkened store. Before entering a store alley or similar area, he waits and listens from a point of cover. If he uses his flashlight walking into an alley, he holds it away from his body so he doesn't become an illuminated target. He checks doors for jimmy or pry marks and other signs of tampering. By placing the light across the sill, the officer checks windows for pry marks, disturbed dust, or smudges which may be signs of burglary. He looks for carelessly placed ladders and insecure conditions which may invite burglars. He makes note of the fact that an alley light is burned out or broken, and where it will improve security, he will suggest that a light be installed. The list of services performed by the beat officer goes on and on. Sometimes it seems like a lonely and endless job, shoveling sand against the proverbial tide, a lot of work, and tours on the night shift. But fortunately, there are those who wouldn't trade it for the cushiest job in the world. He's proud of his department, proud of his job, and the public image which he helped to create. He's the chief of police of his part of town. He's the man on the beat.